morning, everyone. I wanted to welcome all my new subscribers. I've got a lot of new people here, and I just wanted to reintroduce myself and share a quick story. It has nothing to do with my RV life, so this is going to be a little bit different for even the people that have followed me for a while with full-time RV. I'm starting my 4th year full-time RVing, but this story is before I started on the road, and it had to do when I was living in the house in the sticks and bricks and when I was door dashing. So a few years back, it was actually when the pandemic hit, so everything had shut down. My business was hurting. I'm in sales. I was in sales, and everything just kind of came to a standstill. So I thought, okay, I've got to do something. I've got bills. I'm struggling. I needed at least $5,000 a month just to keep my head above water between the mortgage and, the insurance. I had a pool, I had gardener, I had, I wasn't living extravagantly. That was just to maintain. So I had expenses, and it added up. And so one way that I figured how to, make the money was, other than with God's help, because God did help me supernaturally, was to do DoorDash. I felt like, okay, if I hustle every day, I was working 7 days a week, from basically 12-hour days, right? So I was hustling, and at that time I was happy to break even with $100. So I figured, okay, if I could go a little bit over, that'll pay for my gas, but I needed to walk away with $100 a day. I figured if I can make $3,000 a month, at least I could pay my mortgage. That was the most important thing. And we could have, I could just start paying off things little by little. Again, supernaturally, he provided the rest, whether it was taking care of utility bills, insurance, phone, all that stuff. Man, I have so many stories from doing DoorDash. And, I felt like God was with me. I felt like, if he's with you, you just stay on course, you just work hard, and he'll get you through it. So there was so many days when people's orders would get canceled or something would happen, and I always had food. I had so much food because I would get those orders, and I was, I could eat, and I could bring home food for my boys. I remember one time I was so exhausted, and I knew that between dinner and lunch, or lunch and dinner, there was a little bit of a lull. Like you would get like an hour or two break, it would just kind of slow down. So I would always curl up in the back of I had a little SUV. I would curl up back there and just try to take a nap because I was exhausted. And I remember just one time just being so exhausted and feeling so raggedy, just ragged. And I never got my nails done. I didn't get my hair done. I mean, I did DoorDash, I think like 2 years straight. So I was not spending money on myself, that's for sure. And I remember one time just crying out to God. I was literally just crying, saying, God, I feel horrible. I feel raggedy. I don't even feel like feminine anymore, and I just want to get my hair cut. I just want to get my nails done, like just something simple like that. Just pamper myself once, in 2 years. And I got a text from a friend who hears so clearly from God, and she said, Anna, the Lord, she Venmoed me some money, and she said, Anna, the Lord said, go get your nails and hair done. Go get your nails done, go get your hair cut. And at that time I was just like, oh my goodness, he does see me, he does hear, and I mean, I know he does, but it's like sometimes you're going through it so hard that you feel like you've been abandoned, and but his word says, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. So sometimes he has you going through things to strengthen you, to strengthen your faith, to really rely on him, depend on him, or to learn lessons. I had to learn lessons of the value of $1, because before that I had enough money. I always had enough money, and I made good money in my job to where I wasted a lot of money. blew it. I blew it without even thinking, and it meant nothing to me because I figured I can make more. But when it's all taken away, that's when you learn. You learn to be resourceful. I learned when I was door dashing, I learned where I can get free food. I learned where I can get a free cup of coffee. You know, I learned, you know, you learn all these little tips and tricks of where the free stuff is. So you get by. And yeah, I did. And so that's one of my stories. But the other story was, I've got so many, but I worked in a pretty good area, but sometimes DoorDash will like keep on taking you off course, like the path. It'll say, okay, now where you've dropped off, now there's another order, and then it'll take you even in other towns and stuff. So then I would slowly like start in a good area, but then it would lead me to a bad area. And you know, it was getting dark, it was getting, you know, late, and next thing I know, and I don't want to diss on people's towns and stuff, but you know, every area, every city, I shouldn't say every city, but there are some sketchy parts. I mean, I lived in LA County, San Bernardino County, like I was right there in the cusp. And there are areas where you don't want to walk around at nighttime. And so one of the areas, I mean, for a female, you don't want to be walking around in Lower Ontario, Lower Pomona. I mean, there's prostitutes walking around down there on Mission Street, Holt Street, you know, at nighttime, even daytime. So I would end up down there, and I'd have to deliver food to, like, they had apartments that were gated. You know, there's nice gated apartments, and then there's gated apartments for your safety, you know, like bars on the windows and gated. And I would see gang members out front, you know, you could just tell they're gang members and stuff. And I would walk right past them, and it's like they didn't even see me. Like God had such a protection over me that no one saw me, and I was so protected. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it now unless God asked me to do it, but I wouldn't do it now. Anyways, I'll share more DoorDash stories. I've got a friend that just showed up, so I've got to go. But yeah, I'll share more DoorDash stories because I've never really talked about that side of my life and what God did during that time. Okay, guys, have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye guys.